welcome back to QuantumDisney. I'm so excited because today I'm going to be attempting to recreate some of Disney's most iconic snacks at home. It's a very gloomy day here in Florida today, so hopefully by doing this I'll be able to brighten the day and bring some Disney magic into my house. I'm going to be attempting to recreate 3 Disney snacks today, and the 3 that I have chosen are some of my favorites. The first snack that I'm going to be attempting to make is going to be the pineapple Dole Whip, which is my absolute favorite. Now I know Disney did have posted on their app the recipe for the pineapple Dole Whip, but when I tried to get back on there to access it, I couldn't actually find it anywhere. So I found an alternative recipe online that I'm going to be using. The second snack I'm going to be attempting to make are going to be the Disney World Churros. For this recipe, I was able to find the recipe that Disney posted on the app, so I'm going to be following that. Finally, for the Mickey ice cream sandwiches, I'm going to be winging it. I wasn't able to find an exact recipe for the Mickey ice cream sandwich, but I'm going to be attempting to make a chewy chocolate cookie, and I have pre-made cookies and cream ice cream. So hopefully I'll be able to shape those into Mickey Mouse's head and it will look and taste just as good as the real thing. And without further ado, let's get baking. So the first recipe I'm going to be making is the pineapple Dole Whip, and the recipe that I found online calls for 2 cups of frozen pineapple, 4 ounces of pineapple juice, 1 scoop of vanilla ice cream, 1/4 cup of sugar, and 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. So I just have this Ninja blender, which I normally use to make smoothies and things, but I'm going to be using this today to blend up the Dole Whip. I hope it is powerful enough. I think it should be, so fingers crossed. Vanilla ice cream is so good. Underrated. Okay, so this is so good. It's definitely not the same as Magic Kingdom's Dole Whip, but I would say it is just as good. I can really taste the vanilla bean ice cream in it, which is what I think is making it the most different to what you get at Magic Kingdom, but it is equally as delicious. 10 out of 10. I'm making this again. Next, I'm making the churros, and this is the recipe that I am most nervous for. I feel if any of these recipes are gonna go disastrously wrong, it's gonna be this one. So, fingers crossed they turn out okay and that they're edible. So, let's make some churros. Like I said, this recipe is directly from the Disney website itself, and it calls for 1 cup of water, 8 tablespoons of butter, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 3/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1 1/4 cup all-purpose flour, 3 eggs, 1.5 cup vegetable oil, and a 1/2 cup of sugar. So I've just completed the first step of the recipe and I've already made a mistake. I was meant to add 1 teaspoon of cinnamon to this part, but I added all 3/4 of a teaspoon of cinnamon. I guess my dough's just gonna be extra cinnamony. I have to wait for this mixture to come to a roaring boil and then stir vigorously. So I will try to do that while filming with one hand, but it may not go as planned. So now I have to add the eggs one at a time and stir until those are fully combined. Oh my god, this is so gross. What the heck has happened? Dude. No wonder Paul Hollywood's so ripped.
He's shaped like a literal silverback gorilla. That's why his hair looks like that.
And this is the final product of the dough. This is what it looks like once all the eggs are combined. Now we just have to heat up the oil and cook them. So now I have to wait for the oil to reach 350 degrees and I can pipe in the churro dough. I'm supposed to use a piping bag and a star tip to do this, which I do not have either of those. So I'm gonna put it in a Ziploc and cut the corner and just squeeze it out that way. Okay, moment of truth. Guys, this doesn't look appetizing. Oh no. So I just finished making the churros and as I suspected, I don't think they were too successful, but I am going to give it a taste and see how it compares. It tastes pretty good actually. It's crispy on the outside, it has that doughy middle. But I don't think it's comparable to a Disney churro. For some reason those churros are just so good to me and these just can't compare. So it's the next day. I waited until today to make the Mickey ice cream sandwiches. We had enough sweets for one day and the lighting was starting to get really bad. So today I'm gonna go ahead and make the Mickey ice cream sandwiches. For this specific recipe, I'm going to be using 1 1/4 cups of margarine, 2 cups sugar, 2 teaspoons vanilla, 2 cups all-purpose flour, 3/4 cup cocoa powder, 1 tablespoon baking soda, and 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. So the first step is softening our margarine. The next step is creaming together 2 cups of sugar with the 1 1/4 cup of margarine. So I'm going to attempt to do this with my electric whisk. The next step says to beat in the eggs one at a time. Next, we stir in 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Now we combine in 2 cups of all-purpose flour. Now we're gonna add in the cocoa. So I have the mix fully combined. It looks, smells, and I had a little taste. It tastes delicious. But now I have to make the mix. The cookies are in the oven. I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed that they come out alright. I do think they look pretty good, actually. Whether or not they keep their form is another question. I've had to recruit Jack to help me eat this because it is absolutely ginormous. Oh. Oh my goodness.
I wish that they sold it like this.
But this was meant to be one of those little ones.
I'm excited to see what it tastes like.
You wanna take the first bite?
I was gonna say, can you break me off an ear?
An ear? Okay, yeah, I think we're gonna have to break this up. You always have to eat the ears first, though.
That's why I'm doing the giant hole. Well, it doesn't really taste like the Disney ones, but
No, it
it's
doesn't.
really good though.
It's delicious. It tastes nothing like the ones that they sell in the theme park, the prepackaged ones. You can taste that it's a baked cookie, and it's really delicious. Do you prefer this to the one in the theme park, or do you prefer theme park one?
I kept holding myself back from saying that I prefer this because I didn't want to insult the Disney cookie. This is definitely better.
Very good. So that was the end of me making these delicious Disney treats. I had so much fun and they were all so good. I think the churros were the least authentic. I think the Mickey ice cream sandwich is better than the original. And the Dole Whip is just as good, but it was different. I would make these again. But there's nothing like Disney. There's nothing like going and walking around the park and eating those treats. Hopefully we'll be able to get back to the parks and do that soon. That's all for today. We'll see you next time on Quantum Disney.